with like a Suron's battery. Dude, it's always right when you're trying to make a video. Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to be doing a 1-year review of my 2022 Talaria Sting. There's been a lot that's happened in the past year. Obviously, it looks different than stock, and we're going to talk about all the things that I found. Some good, some bad. So without further delays, let's get into the video. Alright guys, so here we go. This is my 2022 Talaria Sting. It's got quite a few mods on it, but I'm not going to talk about the mods at all in this video. I'm just going to talk about things that I found that I really like about the bike, how it performs, how the battery's held up, and then I'm going to talk about things that haven't held up very well or have broken off completely. If you guys want a real honest review, I'm going to try and do my best to give you guys my opinion and everything that I've done with it. But save all your mod questions for the next video. It's going to be, the next video is going to be all the mods and everything that I have on it. So, all right guys, so starting off, I want to talk about probably the most important part of the bike is your battery. So this is my stock 2022 battery that came with the bike when I bought it. The only thing I have to report is that it's been fine. There hasn't been any problems with the charging. Discharges and charges fine. No loss in power. The exterior of the battery is not really worn at all. Besides this is where the steel part kind of braces it. The plug, comparing to like a Suron's, I haven't had any problems with the plug. On the power cable is completely fine, like none of that's damaged. I did have a little bit of wear that I just wrapped some tape around. They have tape around your negative cable here, like wrapped all the way up, and some of it got worn down and I just rewrapped it with tape, but everything else was fine. But no problems with the battery pack at all, so great job on that. Frame is held up fine, no cracks. I do have this little guy down here, but that's when my chain jumped off and it wrapped around the back of the swing arm, and that's what those scratches are from. Around here, this is where your boots are gonna, you know, kind of rub against the bike as you're riding, but that's completely normal. No problems with the rear linkage. Now, I will say that these rear linkage, this is rear linkage from Grit Shift, so it's upgraded, but my rear linkage, there's no problems with it. Those rear linkages, if you start upgrading the power like this one has, they tend to bust, but in a stock form, they're fine. Still running my stock rear brake. The stock calipers, they're actually pretty powerful if you can switch out the brake pads to, you know, semi-metallic stuff. Going down here to the bash plate, this is completely fractured. I don't know how well you guys can see that. Completely fractured. It's like this on both sides. The bash plate is bent in. And that just comes with these cheap aluminum bash plates. It's on this bike, it's on the Suron. They need either a steel bash plate or a billet aluminum one to really do anything. So I'm just running this stock bash plate right now. I'm waiting for my KO bash plate that's actually a proper cover, but the bash plate has not held up very well. I have an extra piece aluminum down here that kind of acts as a brace for the whole thing so it doesn't cave in and destroy the motor. So after one hit, you're gonna need to change it or reinforce it or something. The controller, I don't have my stock controller on there right now, but I have swapped it on and off before. Nothing's wrong with the controller at all. It still runs fine, no problems there. And now, get to the honest part. There is quite a few things that have gone wrong with the bike. Quite a few things that have broken and quite a few design flaws. That's what we're gonna talk about. Okay, just to give you guys a summary, I've bent the rear axle, I've ripped the gearbox in half, and I've destroyed the encoder in the motor. My forks, my Dorado forks, they are starting to bow the tubes because they're not meant for a bike this big. Yeah, there's been quite a few things. My rear axle, that's the first thing we're going to talk about. So, the rear axle has bent on me. I don't know how this is possible. Bad since I've upgraded the power so much. And the rear axle is just not strong. So I might end up see if I can get like a 85 KTM rear axle. Continuing on that, one of the things with this bike that I haven't had any problems with any other bike really is the chain. The chain has jumped off so many times. Before I even upgraded any of it, the chain was jumping off, it was catching on things. So one of my biggest problems with the Talaria is that it doesn't have a chain guard in the front and around the front sprocket, and it should. In here, it's like a chain guard that I've welded to that brace bracket that we've had come off on us. So I have a steel piece that we've bent around, so the chain goes around the sprocket nicely, and that was a problem because the chain would jump off here and it would jump off down here. If anyone from Talaria is watching this, that's something I think would be an excellent idea to improve your bikes, is just take this bracket, just add this metal guide to go around the sprocket, and I have plenty of room back here to do so. The gearbox I just have to cover off right now, but like I said, we've ripped the gearbox in half, and that is because that same bracket right here that we welded our guide to, that has come out of the motor because they don't put Loctite on these bolts for the Talaria, which is another huge problem. And since those didn't have Loctite over time, and I was still running stock power by the way, over time those bolts, which are not very long, they're like 4 millimeters long, weaseled out of the motor, and then this bracket came off, and then as I was riding on a ride, the bike ripped itself in half. So the brace bracket is gone, the chain's pulling on the gearbox this way, and it ripped right down the middle here, and I had to buy a $400 new gearbox, which is not what people want to do. It's such a stupid little thing, and they could easily fix it. So with the next generation, I hope that they really look at that. Okay, going over here on my stock motor, my encoder was damaged and I had to replace it. The bike will give you an air sign if something's wrong with the encoder. It could be like a retune, it could be several different things, but the bike won't go if the encoder is damaged. You have to unscrew these 3 screws, take off the cap, and there was a big crack down the middle of the encoder that obviously put that out of commission, so I had to buy a new one of those. So I don't know how that exactly occurred, if it was because the bash plate is like getting really close to the motor, it was just hitting it really hard and it finally cracked the encoder on the inside. But again, that's another reason not to have a cheap bash plate on there. Is the motor itself, besides that little chip inside of it breaking, there hasn't been, I mean, it was performing fine right up until then. Overall, the bike is really good, but it does have design flaws and cheaper components like the bash plate, like the rear axle, and design flaws like this bracket back here without any chain guard on it, and those just amount to a lot of problems. And as you upgrade the bike, I found more of those. Granted, I have fixed them and I love where the bike is right now, but I've dumped a lot of money into it, and a lot of the problems that have occurred shouldn't have occurred because a lot of them happened at stock power. But where the bike is right now, it's awesome. I absolutely love this bike. It just took a lot to get it here. All right guys, so that is the review. Like I said, it was a little bit shorter than normal because a lot of the stuff on the bike isn't stock anymore. So guys, that's the video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Be sure to watch out for next Sunday. I'm going to be having an upgrades video. So I'm going to tell you guys everything that I have on this bike. So be on the lookout for that video. Hope you guys enjoyed the video again, and I'll see you in the next one.